On today's show, pet photographer Lyn Nye photographs our Maud. Photographer Katherine Knight discusses her new book, Boat. And a look back at summer in St. Andrews with Christina Washko.
From your hometown local station, this is Good Day from the Bay with Vicki, Hogarth, and Jonathan Brittain.
Good Day from the Bay. I'm Jonathan Brittain.
And I'm Vicki Hogarth. Today's show has everything: art, animals, photography, and a small dose of nepotism.
That's right. My aunt is on the show, which means I have to be on my best behavior.
There's a first time for everything. Yes, we are welcoming acclaimed photographer and author Katherine Knight, who's launching her new book, Boat. It's an incredible project that turns model boats into life-size seafaring illusions.
And the photos look so real, you expect the Coast Guard to show up.
Before that, though, we are starting with someone else who knows how to capture a moment. It's St. Andrews-based pet photographer Lyn Nye, who recently took CHCO's own mascot Maud out for a close-up on the wharf.
Golden hour, a salty dog, and pure diva energy. Here's that story.
She could be such a diva.
Oh, here she comes.
Lyn Nye has a knack for making animals shine. Whether it's cats, dogs, or horses, her photos capture what she calls the truest version of a pet. The one that can't fake a smile but somehow manages to melt you anyway.
It was with my dog, the first dog that I had that was my own, and taking pictures of him. And and then just wanting to have memories of my dogs and my animals. And it's a nice memory to have, you know, when after they've passed and stuff, you got a photo and something, you know, to keep of them, and a nice memory.
Lyn recently met her newest muse, Maud. Our CHCO canine correspondent agreed to model, but only if there was water involved.
Maud's not one for vanity, but she is one for splashing.
At the St. Andrews Wharf, as the sun dropped behind the horizon, Lyn caught Maud mid-stride, mid-splash, and mid-pose.
Lyn volunteers at the Charlotte County SPCA, so she's used to photographing cats and dogs that aren't exactly used to the spotlight.
One of the main things I would say is to get down to the animal's level. So try to get low down to get at their level. And of course, treats and noisemakers, always, you know, get yourself set up and then use the noisemaker to get their attention.
The result? A gallery of St. Andrews' most photographed dog, and a local photographer who's quickly becoming part of the community she now calls home.
Maud was awesome. She is wonderful. I love the fact that she's so energetic and loves playing in the water and so obedient. I mean, to have her off leash is great, because normally you have them on leash, and then in Photoshop I'll remove the leash and different things afterwards in the editing process. But to have her off leash, and no, she's a very good girl.
And judging by Maud's new headshots, our Maud was definitely able to put the Maud in model.
We tried to get Maud to sign a model release, but she just drooled on it.
Standard contract negotiations.
Big thanks to Lyn Nye for getting such beautiful shots and for managing to keep her camera dry.
What an experience. Next up, we're trading dogs for stories.
And heading into the creative world of my very own aunt, Katherine Knight. She's launching a new photography book called Boat. And no, I didn't beg for an autograph yet.
There's still time. We will be right back with Katherine Knight after this.
Welcome back to Good Day from the Bay. Today we're sitting with artist Katherine Knight, who is just published this brand new book called Boat. But full disclosure, she's also here because she's my aunt. Welcome to the show, Katherine.
Thanks, John.
Well, you wouldn't be the first aunt we've had on our show. My aunt Vicki has also been on here. So welcome to Good Day from the Bay. We really couldn't think of a better show for you to launch Boat on than a show named after the Bay of Fundy.
Yes, so why don't you tell us a little bit what Boat is all about?
It's definitely about boats, though I do think it tells more than just boats, because it tells stories about the people and the places related to the boats. And in some ways, I think it tells a story about creative resilience, because who the heck makes these? How do they make them? And where do they get that passion to sustain the desire to make them and the willpower to make them over the amount of hours that it takes? And many of the boat makers have huge volumes of boats they have made.
Right, and we should specify, these aren't full-size boats. These are actually model-size boats.
Yes.
Yes, so for example, this is the boat on the cover, but you photographed them in actual water and made them look real and life-size.
Yes, I did. Which means getting very up close and personal with your boat. And it really means, for everyone watching who's a photographer, it means pretty careful control of your camera. And I did use an expensive camera and took it with me into the water, not in the water, but definitely to, sometimes as much as waist height. So a dangerous undertaking, I think, but always trying to get certain kind of perspectives and also where you focus, because it's a tiny object, right? Mm-hmm. So if you focus here, then this might not be in focus, but all that becomes kind of magical.
It's such an optical illusion. It looks so life-size.
And look at how this ore has faded. On the book, it's like black, but after, I probably bought this boat years ago, like a decade, and it's been in the water a number of times. It's got some rust on its nails. So definitely it's been a very good boat for me.
I do, as a person obsessed with miniatures, I do have to ask, what gave you the idea to photograph miniatures in this way and create a whole book dedicated to miniature boats?
It's sort of hard to exactly pin it down, but I think I was influenced a bit by a friend's work, Wendy Coburn, who was photographing tiny dinky toys and trucks and making them look real. And then by another friend, Colette Urban, who collected multiple things and made crazy, beautiful work with it. And also I am a filmmaker, and I've made film portraits of people, and I've also had the good luck to be on 3 major freighter boat excursions. So where I got the idea of them going tiny, I think it's all these different things that weave together. Oh, but I have to say, to photograph a big boat is like impossible. So the only way you can photograph it is to shrink it. Or do you remember that great film, a sci-fi film from the 70s where they shrink people and inject them into someone's head? What is it?
Herman's Head? No.
No, it's very famous, and isn't Sophia Loren? Fantastic Voyage. Highly recommended. Okay. Fantastic Voyage.
Okay, yes, yes.
And I guess it would also give you the opportunity to photograph a boat that's maybe historically no longer accessible, like the Titanic or something, to that degree as well.
Absolutely. And in fact, there is, actually, I have a copy of the boat too. Here we have my copy. And I do have historical, the boat's kind of organized in chapters. And I have one that's called Preserving History, where I've gathered stories about model makers who really felt deeply about looking at history. And this is Greg Hiltz, and he's outside of, he's in Baxter's Corner, which is close to St. John. And he's renowned for the models he's made based on the Connors brothers herring carriers.
Oh, how cool.
And in fact, this is the Brunswick made. This is a tiny photo, but Greg made, I think he made 6 models. And he says, Connors brothers in Black's Harbor contacted me. They had 7 sardine and herring carriers, and they wanted to reproduce them in model size. Then it hit me. I was preserving history.
Absolutely.
Cool.
And this
Yeah.
particular one, I know because I was there the day you photographed
That's
it.
right.
And this is on display in Blacks Harbor,
at
at
the
the
museum.
museum in Blacks Harbor.
That's right.
So,
Cool.
Yeah.
And do you remember he took it out of the glass case?
Yeah.
And then we laid a black backdrop, which you helped me lay. And we did some other photos where he held the boat. So in the end, I didn't use those photos, but I did use this. This is most of the chapters have larger photographs. I discovered Greg late in the process, and so for instance, other boats are reproduced a bit larger scale. I don't know, but yes, I had a lot of information to squeeze in with Greg, where the story was so important, and
So that's in the book too. Tell us a little bit about that. It's the stories that go along with the models of the boat.
Absolutely. So the book is sort of organized in 11 chapters, and so each chapter starts with a kind of title, and then it has a story. Either, for instance, this one's called "Fishing Was Supposed to Be My Life." It starts with Watson Knickles, and I interviewed him. Oh, you've got my Post-it notes here. And I interviewed him, and then I took the interview, transcribed it, and edited it for conciseness and length. And shall I tell you a little bit about Watson?
Oh, sure.
It's a great story.
Okay,
actually.
yeah.
So Watson, he says, fishing was supposed to be my life, but it didn't turn out that way, which I find that amazing. You know, it's like when he was 16, he joined the Robert Brittain, which was a longliner, and after 3 months, he was shipwrecked, and the Robert Brittain went down. There was 4 people on board, 4 survived, but Watson emerged with no fingers on one hand. And it was after that shipwreck that he began to make models. And actually,
So he lost all his fingers and then started to build model boats. Incredible.
And partly because fishing was supposed to be his life, it could no longer be his life. And he said, he did this beautiful, he just said it so beautifully. When I look at a model boat, I can picture myself in the real boat out to sea. And it gives me pleasure. So that really kind of encapsulates one of the reasons people make model boats. It's really to honor a boat, to honor experience, and to tell a personal story that they couldn't otherwise. But I also liked, he said, I asked him, well, what's your favorite boat? And he said, he hemmed and hawed, and then he says, well, it's got to be the boat I was shipwrecked on. He built a model of the boat he was shipwrecked on, and he said, I don't know if I'm proud of it, because it was a terrible experience. But I was happy that when I finished with it, I was happy when I had that finished with bunks inside, a table, everything. Even though you can't see it, you can't see what's inside. He knows that it's accurate. And for him, that boat is accurate to his experience, where he spent 9 hours basically in the water. And he says they were saved at 9:30 in the morning. I was frozen up bad when they took me into the dragger, the boat that saved them. One fellow took me by my head, one fellow by the leg. I was stiff as a board. I had ice for my body. All you could see was my eyeballs and our mouth. And maybe I had 15 minutes left to go.
Wow.
And then they did 12 operations. And the last one, they couldn't give him anesthetic because he'd had too much. So Watson, this incredible story, I think he was maybe the core story in the book, the one that really got me excited, because to realize here was a guy who wanted to be a fisher person, couldn't fish, and then began to make model boats. And this is him holding the model that he built of the Robert Brittain.
Which is the boat that he went down in.
Yep.
Wow, isn't that wild?
And this is a boat that does different kinds of fishing, but it's got the long protrusion at the front because it swordfish in the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
These are also very Atlantic stories. That's all about here.
Mm-hmm. And even though, Katherine, you're not a Charlotte County girl, you're based in Pictou, Nova Scotia, so this close to the ocean, ties to the sea. What do you think people like Watson, also people like yourself, why do you think you're so drawn to the sea and to boats, even though, you know, they represent this force that could take our lives? It's quite a fascination that sometimes I think feels inexplicable to people that aren't close with the ocean.
I wonder how many of us are like that. We seem to split, like there's the forest people and there's the water people, and definitely, you know, the ocean and water has been a huge draw for me. It was part of my childhood, going to Cavendish and spending endless time on the water. I don't really know exactly how I got into that camp. And also I went to the Nova Scotia College of Art and Design, and I did a lot of water-based projects there. And when I was 23, I went on a freighter boat voyage solo, the boat was full of people, but I went on it. And I made photographs in Labrador. And I think that marked me, because at 23, I had this remarkable experience of making photographs. And in fact, the last photo in the book is, I managed to squeeze in some of my photographs from my own history of making photographs. I went back, looked for what are the photographs I made earlier in my life, but that were about boats or about water. And so this one, it's 1978.
Wow.
I was 23, and this is on the first freighter boat trip I took, where I went up to Harrington Harbor, which is on this North Shore, and I got off the boat because they told me they'd come back in a couple of weeks and I could get back on. And so I had this amazing adventure in here. And I think this is when I perhaps first made my first kind of mature work as an artist. Even though I was only 23, I made a body of photographs that for me resonate and kind of set me on my path. And since then, I've actually been lucky enough to have 3 trips on a freighter boat. I don't know, how did I get to be the water side of things? Because I had magical experiences, life-altering experiences, you know, by luck.
You were telling us too that in a lot of the shots, there's very little that is manipulated at all. Like, talk to us about how it comes together. I think, especially in this day where everyone has a phone on their iPhone, we sometimes think we are these great photographers because we have autocorrect, but there's a lot that goes into setting it up, which I think young photographers, just hearing from you, can learn from a little bit of technique and what it takes to set up a shot, whether it's 1978 or 2025.
Yeah. And I think that's totally true. Like, the people watching today, some of them will have grown up like I did as a analog photographer, where you got, you know, 36 shots max, and these were all medium. I shot medium format. That means I got 12 shots at a time. Well, that meant you thought, you framed, you really labored to make sure you did your best, and also, it's interesting to me. For me, I was an analog photographer, black and white, and then I was a professor of visual arts at York University. I had to teach digital photography, and I had to leap, and I couldn't imagine making a photograph in color, and I couldn't imagine actually manipulating a photograph, because all my photographs are what we call full frame, compose in the frame, don't crop, just get it as technically proficient as you can, and capture a bit of magic, and you'll have a good photo. But I carry that with me in making any digital photographs too, because I frame exactly. I don't like to crop, and I don't like to manipulate. So, for instance, you know, any of the boat photographs, I'm framing up as well as I can. You know, I'm straightening horizons in the crop mechanism, etc. And the other thing I'm doing is I'm trying to get as big a digital file as I can. I want perfect photographs. So I tend to photograph exactly what's in front of me, but I wait for the right light. I for the right time. And then I often will photograph in 2 sections. So I'll point my camera below the horizon, and then I'll capture another shot just by shifting up.
Okay.
And that allows me, if my camera takes a 50 megabyte or even a 16 megabyte file, by having 2 shots, I can double it. And therefore, I can reproduce these photographs very large. And in fact, they're the weirdest things when you get them big, like 5 feet, because then you look at them and you kind of instantly see, oh, that drop of water is a little out of scale. Or, oh my God, the wheel of the boat is a thumbtack. But at the tiny scale, you don't see that. But when you go in deep, you really see it.
that.
So after this book was done, I upgraded to a digital format, medium format digital camera. So I'm operating with huge files now.
Wow.
But these ones I cobbled together 2 images at once. But you have to shoot them at the same time, because you want the same. Like, you can't fake well, I guess you could, but
Yeah.
I don't know that. That's beyond my skill level. My skill level is frame it up, shoot it, imagine it. But I don't do very much technical. And in fact, here's a nice one. Look at that. I've got that boat right here. 1 second. Oh, let's get him. And this is,
Wow.
so here we have the ducks. There's the ducks, they go there. John can have ducks up his arm.
There
So
we
there's
go.
the ducks. And, like, really, you're just like putting them in the water and pulling them until they kind of like do their thing. And in fact, these 2 photographs are taken like several weeks apart. I made this photograph and I really wanted to be able to add the ducks that go with the boat. And so I waited for a day with the same kind of weather conditions and went back to a similar spot. But this is a boat by Adam Eckler in Pictou, and he sells these boats down at the waterfront.
Oh, cute.
I know, it's really cute. I love it.
Do you ever have model makers contact you wanting to be a part of what you're doing?
No, more I kind of like meet them and then ask. And so for this one, I wasn't sure I would do anything with it, so I just purchased it and put it on my shelf. And he's tickled pink and I'm tickled pink.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so.
So that's so interesting. So you're kind of really using your original analog training that was
Yeah.
a big part of your career, and just kind of now using digital, but still with your original techniques. in a
Totally,
way. Yeah.
totally.
Fantastic.
And I love doing that because it really it means that you're still deeply involved in camera work. You're doing, like, what can the camera do that none of us can do? What can photography do that other things can't do? And that for me is really important. And it's really how I live my life too. It's like, oh, I love making these photographs. They make life sort of much more exciting. So this is it's also a boat for hunting ducks and geese. And so I loved that he had the little ducks that went with it. And
the before and after, I guess.
Before and after. And of course, what I was saying before about photographing very precisely, like I'm on the ground, I'm flat on my stomach, and it's kind of winter, and so I got all my rain gear on, and I'm watching my lens because it can get dirty and wet, and so I am very, very close to the end of that rope, but I'm not photographing. I have to be careful. I have to be very careful that my focus point stays where it's got to be. So that's always, totally key. Like for the photographers, they would say, oh yeah, it's got a shallow depth of field and her focus point is there, and then this rope just trails out of focus, as does the front. So all those things become really important.
When you look to other artists, photographers, who are some of your own favorites?
Oh, tons. I mean, I was really influenced by Robert Frank early on in my life, and there's it's always, that's the hardest question for anyone to answer. I think in the end, you know, my most direct influences have really been my colleagues and friends. I mean, I hang with other artists, I do shows with other artists, so, and when I think back, I mean, my friend Wendy Coburn, I really think she pegged this before I did, and I've just picked up her influences. So I would say my peer group, which is also important for young artists. You have to have a peer group, you have to have pals.
Yeah, and you're not only a photographer, as you said, you're also a filmmaker, and you've done a whole series of documentaries on specifically Canadian artists, many of who you're friends with.
That's right.
Yeah, so, and I've of course had the opportunity to see many of them, and we've even been in Hot Talks in Toronto a couple times. So how does linking those films and all this, how does this all come together?
I feel like it really does come together, and I don't think the boat would exist without some of the film works. And I have a film clip actually that would be nice to show you guys, because it's on the bridge of a freighter boat. And that, so for instance, I made a film about artist Wanda Coop. So yes, I made a film.
Set up the clip. We will roll it.
Okay, yeah, we'll roll the clip, and we're going to see Bob Wilkie, and he's the captain of a ship. And let me just show you where he belongs in the boat. So, for instance, as a filmmaker, I've had amazing. When you're making films, you have experiences that you would never have, as you guys do in this role. You have amazing experiences. And so Robert Wilkie is a ship captain. He lives in close to Sydney, but he was also my classmate at NASCAD, Nova Scotia College of Art and Design, in the 70s. I stayed in touch with him. He got me onto several boat trips, and in about 2011, somewhere around there, I asked him if he would take 3 of us on a boat trip. Artist Wanda Coop and my collaborator, filmmaker Marcia Connolly. And together we went on this boat and we made a film about Wanda Coop's relationship to land and sea. And so we went up the St. Lawrence.
My name is Bob Wilkie. I'm captain for Canada Steamship Lines, the motor vessel Birch Glen. I'm also a trained painter. I went to the Nova Scotia College of Art and Design. So we'll be coming down like this, and when the tide is really ebbing quickly, a big tide, it narrows into the channel here and speeds the ship up, and you can be doing sometimes 20 knots going through there, which is quite a bit faster than what we're doing now.
So how fast are you traveling on an open, like when we're full steam ahead?
Right now, because the tide is against us, you can see there's our speed there.
Okay.
This is 11 knots we're doing. We have the wind and the speed. You see, this is the wind vector here.
Fascinating. This is so beautiful, like graphically, isn't it?
Yeah, and you have a bunch of color choices too. You can change color on
Oh,
it.
you can, and so you can do the color changing.
And it changes colors.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then you can put it
That's
on.
beautiful. I like that one too.
Yeah. And then there's day black, which is a little different.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
German tanker on the horizon.
I think it is a tanker. Looks like they have hose booms there and everything. So
Oh, I
stand
see.
here. This baffles the wind.
Oh, okay.
In the book, Robert Wilkie, captain of a freighter boat, he really grounds us in a love of water. He talks about being on the boat. He talks about, he says that when there was a storm, you'd see the rocks normally submerged coming to the surface. We call them sunkers. And once in the Cabot Strait, 45 days straight in fog. So he, in this essay, kind of makes us fall in love with being on the water. So but he does also comment on model boats. Luckily, he did have a model boat experience, so I could shove him into the book. And he said he did not go to cadet school. He came up through the world of ships by on-site learning. So he did his papers. He went from deckhand to third mate, second mate, first mate, captain. And as he said, I did a lot of training by the book, but I did go on a ship handling course in England that used model boats. I would say the models were 10 to 20 feet long, and they were long enough to hold two people, one to be the captain, the other to be the engineer. You weren't in a bridge, you were sitting in the open like a canoe, only it was motorized, had rudders, and handled the way a big ship would. We took turns, and there were probably 8 or 9 different model boats, tankers, passenger ships, on a small man-made lake. And it was all training and decision-making in real time. They practiced going into harbor on a little dinky lake.
That's amazing.
I tried to find photographs of that. I couldn't find them. But what's interesting is that idea of models as training mechanisms is deep in Atlantic culture. It runs right through. And for instance, here, let me just go to this photo I love. This is a stability model. So this is a model, beautiful model, and it's of a oil tanker. Oh, a tanker. I should be able to tell you exactly what, but I can't remember. Anyways, you can fill the water tanks and you can fill the fish hold. It's got carries fish. You can fill the fish hold. You can like balance it, and it's got a gravity. You can change the center of gravity because when you're out at ocean, if ice builds up on your mast, your ship's heavier and lays in the water at a different rate. So the ship's captain has to be able to gauge all the changing conditions, and they have to adjust all the kind of ballast and alter the ship according to the weather. So prior to, this one's from 1968. So before the 70s, before the 80s, then they were really training people with models. Like, okay, class, let's look at this model, and let's change the gravity, and let's fill up the tank, and let's do this and that. And this boat would have floated in a tank of water. And if you got it wrong, it would sink. If you got it right, you pass your course.
Right.
So now none of this happens. Now it's just digital training. And luckily, I was able to track down the company that made this model because it was actually written on here. And I got in touch with the son of the model maker, and he now runs the company's morphed into digital training materials. But it was interesting because I told my friend, Captain Bob Wilkie, about this model, and I told him about interviewing John Ray, who was the son of the model maker, and Bob instantly said, a ton of people who've come up through the ranks as ship captains, they'll instantly know John Ray and Sons, and they'll know all about these models because it was part of our lives.
Wow. Great.
Yeah, I love those stories.
You probably learned more about boats than you ever anticipated when you first got started.
That's right.
Yeah, and
Though
so
you feel like you just scratched the surface, really.
Right. And so that's what this book is all about, really.
Right.
And all these incredible stories, incredible photographs.
We are very lucky that Katherine is your aunt because we get to have you before the Beaverbrook in Fredericton. That is your next stop for the launch.
That's right.
Are you going to do, I feel like you need to do an exhibit with these photos though, with whatever models you have as well. Is anything else in the works?
There should be, there will be, I hope there will be. Those are all the answers. Definitely when you make an exhibition, it takes several years to get it really organized, and I got wrapped up in other things, including a film project and making the book and etc. But I do hope to have an exhibition of the boat photographs, and here in St. Andrews would be great because you have the Sunbury shores, and there's other, as artists, we're always putting out feelers and trying to see what we can do and where we can do it.
I do know Executive Director Sarah Brinkers is obsessed with miniatures, so I'm putting that call out right here.
Yeah, you'll be hearing from us, Sarah. But also, what struck me, is especially for people in this region, is this would make an excellent Christmas gift for people. So I know you've been hitting all the independent booksellers you can, and so look for that and get a copy of Boat for the boat lover in your family for this Christmas. Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Catherine, so much for coming here, being on Good Day from the Bay with us. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much. It's been great to be here. Thanks, John. Thanks, Vicki. And thanks for launching Boat.
More than happy. We'll be right back with more Good Day from the Bay. Welcome back to Good Day from the Bay.
It's time for milestones and celebrations where we shine a light on some of the good things happening close to home in southwest New Brunswick.
That's right. Before we all hibernate for the winter, contributor Christina Watchko took one last sunny stroll through a couple of St. Andrews' favorite spots, Kingsbrae Garden and the Farmers Market.
Both have wrapped up for the season, but Christina reminds us why they're worth missing and why we'll be the first in line when they reopen next spring.
Let's head first to the beloved Farmers Market in Market Square.
I think what makes this market so special and what we love about it is that in this teeny little tourist town of a few thousand people, the market really shines. We have people from all over southwest New Brunswick.
There you go, buddy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have this huge diversity of different flavors and foods and cuisines and different types of crafts and really high quality artisans that come here. We've got exceptional produce, wonderful bread. Yeah, so we're looking for locally made goods ideally within a few hundred kilometers. We're willing to go further afield if we don't have that product here in town, in St. Andrews, St. George, St. Stephen, or around here. But ideally everything's here from here in New Brunswick, and ideally here in Charlotte County.
We're selling all fresh vegetables, the best tasting tomatoes, and the freshest beans that you could ever grow. Yep.
What is the secret to your success?
I like to keep that under my hat.
Feel free to pick them up. This is actually our first year doing the market here. One of the things that is nice about it is the interaction with the customers, the visitors from the States, a variety of different people that we meet, and the sales are good.
The most important thing about the market and the thing that makes it really special is definitely like the people you meet, whether it's like the regulars who come every single week, people who come every week to get their lunch at the hot food vendors.
And we see people here from all over the world. France, Italy, all over.
Bonjour, my name is Fabrice. It's my first time with my wife and our dog Louis in St. Andrew.
We bumped into a Syrian guy. He was doing the falafels, right, that you bought, which were delicious. And then a Nigerian couple. And then loads of people from the town that keep coming up and saying hi to the dog, and then we get to meet them and talk to them.
People are friendly and they make us laugh. We enjoy being here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Love the area, love the people.
Meeting all those people and informing those relationships with locals and tourists. It gives a sort of cosmopolitan feel to a sort of sleepy town in southwestern New Brunswick.
That was beautiful, Christina, and at least we still have the special Christmas Farmers Market to look forward to happening December 6th at Sir James Dunn Academy.
And before the gates closed at Kingsbrae Garden for the year, Christina went for one last wander through the flowers, fountains, and friendly faces that make it such a summer favorite.
St. Andrews is, a population of under 3,000 people. A lot of people don't actually expect when they actually go through the doors to see one of the top 10 public gardens in Canada. They don't expect it in the growing climate of New Brunswick. So it's almost a shock factor when they go through the 27 acres. Well, something that you don't always hear about Kingsbrae Garden that you wouldn't see in a publication is that Kingsbrae is actually funded in part by a foundation. It's a not-for-profit. And what that means is that Kingsbrae every year is subsidized by this foundation. But more success that Kingsbrae has, the more people that support it, the more events that we have that are successful, it means that there's actually more money left over in that foundation, and that goes to other organizations and charities in our community. So what I was actually surprised about Kingsbrae Garden is that there is something for almost every age demographic. If you were, say, a retired couple, people absolutely love, especially in the fall, coming here and getting that sense of inspiration, but also peace as they wander through the garden. The sculpture garden obviously being a popular one for people like that. But then on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you're a young family, a young couple with children, there's a lot for families to do here. There's, the children's playhouses, there's cedar mazes, and of course, let's not forget about animals. We have, alpacas, goats, peacocks. I guess if there was something that I'd like the viewer to know about Kingsbrae Garden is that we're fortunate to have their support. To have a facility like this in a community, we get by a lot of local support, a lot of day trippers, but a lot of membership. And the fact that people continue to support Kingsbrae Garden is what fuels us to continue to come up with new exciting ideas, new gardens, new events, and we're just blessed to have such a local community that supports and appreciates having this garden.
Oh, summer always leaves us wanting more.
Just like this show, because we're out of time for today.
That's right. We will see you next time on Good Day from the Bay. I'm Vicki Hogarth.
I'm Jonathan Brittain.
Good Day from the Bay is produced through the facilities of CHCO Television with support from people in our region.